Dynamite. Oh my goodness. Dynamite. Why must you do this to me? I got attacked for not reviewing Raw, even though I thought Raw was very bad. I skipped it, and everybody was like, what, you're not going to do Raw? People even started doing their own replies to Raw in other videos, so I'm going to have to push through it and actually review these shows, I guess. So we're going to push through, and we're going to do Dynamite. We're going to start with the main event. Jon Moxley versus Samoa Joe for the World Championship in a steel cage match. This match, it was okay. You know, I certainly would have expected more given Jon Moxley versus Samoa Joe, given the names of these guys. But it seems that the same issue which affects SmackDown affects AEW, where that these guys are basically coasting on their name and they're doing just enough to not have the shittiest match that they've ever had. So it's not like Samoa Joe was out there moving like it was, 2005 or anything like that. But he didn't stink the joint up. And Moxley was Moxley. So that was that. We knew the shenanigans was coming. There's always shenanigans. Soon as Moxley gets trapped in the coquina clutch, here comes attempted interference by Claudio and Yuta. Claudio is the one who is grabbed by Willow and pulled off the cage. She pulled Claudio off the cage. I'll just be damned. The Yuta tries to flee. He gets captured, and then Hobbs puts him through a table, which was nuts. While all this is going on outside the ring, you got a shadowy figure, a hooded figure, slides the briefcase holding the championship in between the cage to Moxley, who hits Samoa Joe in the head with it and pins him. Afterwards, we see that the hooded figure is Gabe Kid, and he got the expected pop of no pop. Nobody knows who this guy is. Nobody knows who he is. There was no real reaction to him being revealed at all. Nothing. Had to be embarrassing because I'm pretty sure they expected quite a bit from this guy. Given he's supposedly some big star in Japan. He wrestled Kenny Omega in Japan. Such a big star. It happened in Japan. Didn't happen in Chicago. Then we got a whole lot more crap after this. Because the Young Bucks show up. They lower the cage. While the Young Bucks are trying to shake hands with Moxley. Omega runs out there. He starts throwing knee strikes to everybody. Then he gets attacked by Kazuchika Okada, who then throws him in the ring, and now they bring the cage down to lock the Young Bucks, Moxley, and the Death Riders in the ring with Omega and Samoa Joe, and they start whipping their ass. And then, out of nowhere, Okada disappears because he's being kicked in the thigh by Speedball Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey is just kicking Okada in the thigh. And they they walk off as he's being kicked in the thigh. Oh, I didn't even see this until they were almost already gone. There was so much happening that the cameraman was missing things. There's guys in the ring taking moves. Okada's in the ring getting kicked in the leg. And music starts to play. And now here comes Swerve. But everybody's in the ring. So nobody stops Swerve as he climbs the top of the cage and jumps off. Everybody catches him because they learned from TNA. Please, somebody catch somebody when they're coming from the sky. He gets up. The Young Bucks, they raise the cage because they have the remote to the cage. They raise the cage, and everybody, all the heels start to flee. And essentially, Swerve challenges them to anarchy in the arena. The big brouhaha that they have every year at Double or Nothing. So it explains why they did the championship match on TV, so they could do this big specialty match at Double or Nothing. Gabriel Kid. he was your big surprise, was Gabriel flipping Kid. Oh good Lord have mercy. Look, I got no words. I got no words. The no pop that he got wasn't quite Bobby Fish level. Like, Bobby Fish has got the most embarrassing no pop that I've ever heard. You know, the where's the lie? That was the most embarrassing no pop to ever exist. Gabe Kid didn't get anything like that. It was just stuff was happening so fast that I don't think people really understood it. It was kind of like, stuff's happening, okay. But they called a guy over from Japan. They got tons of people on the roster that they don't use. They called a guy from Japan to do this angle. You couldn't, use one of the other 300 guys you have on the roster that are doing nothing. You couldn't use any of them. You had to go use this guy from Japan. He's not even Japanese. He's white. He's like British or something. Where's the wrestling acumen? What's the floor to just bringing in rando European guys? Why Gabe Kid of all people? Whatever. It's just too many questions, man. I'm asking too many questions. There's not going to be any answers. I'm guessing he's just a mercenary, and he's doing what mercenaries do. Okay. So FTR, they attacked Nigel McGuinness and Daniel Garcia. They were talking about shit that happened on Collision. I'm just going to say I don't care about this. I don't think anybody cares about this. Nigel McGuinness is British Cesaro, as far as I'm concerned. It's on Collision. I can safely not give a shit. So we're going to move on. Taz, he did a very tearful tribute to Sabu. He even removed his sunglasses, which I know pained him to do. But he talked about how Sabu was loved and Sabu was appreciated by his peers. And I thought that was very nice because, him and Taz have such a history of not getting along, especially during their heyday, that the heat between the two of them was legit. So it was nice. I expect Taz to show up to Sabu's funeral like Kuwabara and Yu Yu Hakusho. You bring yourself back here right now. I'm going to choke you out, Sabu. Next, we got a fatal 4-way match that ended in shenanigans. Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa, Sky Blue, and Azumi. Her name is Azumi, but it's AZM. There's no U, there's no I. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I understand Japanese stuff. Mina Shirakawa had a different song when she started and she won. She won the match, believe it or not. Mina Shirakawa, who I don't think has ever won a match on this show, but she won this match. I'm not going to pretend that I watched it, because I watched bits and pieces of it. I just didn't have an interest in watching another women's fatal 4-way match. They literally just had one last week. I don't even understand what the one last week was for, let alone what the one this week was for. But the young lady Azumi actually won one of Mercedes' belts. She won the New Japan Strong Women's thing, and she won it by pinning some other girl because it was a triple threat match. Hey, you mean Mercedes don't want to put over talent? She just dropped her New Japan Pro Wrestling title to Azumi. One, who the hell is Azumi? Two, she lost a triple threat match where she was not pinned or submitted. Come on, man. Get real. Sky Blue is back. She's been gone for so long. I didn't think she was ever coming back. They said she had to learn how to walk again. What? She had to learn how to walk again? I've seen her walking the entire time. She's been modeling. She's been on the catwalk all this time. When was the time she had to learn how to walk again? It doesn't seem to make sense to me. But she's back. She didn't do much of anything, but she's back. Everybody seemed to be happy about this. I was kind of indifferent. I think Sky Blue was doing what she was better at, to be quite honest. When she was doing modeling and all that stuff, she seemed to be better at that than she is at wrestling. I don't know, break your tibia or whatever the fuck. Anyway, Mina Shirakawa defeated Toni Storm with a small package. She was then immediately noted to be the number one contender for the title and would wrestle for the belt at Double or Nothing. Mina Shirakawa had a different song when she came out. Tony Khan was abused online, and they changed it back. Oh, the AEW fans, man. Ooh, there's something else, aren't they? Tony Khan is just so responsive. Remember when they did the Pointer Sisters? Like, I'm so excited. And he got roasted for it, and it was gone the next week. Sheesh. Okay. Well, that was right, though, because that's made everything sound like it's going to be going to a gay bar. There was no reason for Sky Blue to be here. If you were going to have her on the show, she could at least want a squash match or something like that, just to, get back in the thick of things. If you're going to have Azumi on this show, she shouldn't lose, especially if she just won. But I'm just talking about basic booking stuff. None of this shit matters. Anyway, after the match, here's where things get a little bit over the top. Mercedes attacked Azumi, screaming that Azumi stole her belt, and then she put her on a crossface. That lasted forever. Then Jamie Hayter came out there and attacked Mercedes and saved Azumi. And then Mercedes fled. And I was... What is the plan here? What's the plot? What's the scheme here? What's the thing? Is Mercedes going to slowly but surely lose all these belts in preparation of her winning the world title? I don't think she can have the world title and all these other belts too. I don't know. So then we got some more after-match shenanigans. But first we got the match shenanigans. The Hurt Business defeated Top Flight. Now, I probably watched more of this match than I watched of anything else on the show. And the match started with Top Flight utilizing their, quick attacks and double team maneuvers to overwhelm Shelton and Lashley. And let me tell you, it didn't look legitimate at all. There was a kickoff spinning DDT or something that I think Darius Martin did, where I think he kicked off of Lashley to DDT Shelton or something like that. It just looked really ridiculous. And then they did like a tope through the ropes, and they just got caught. They did the old Hardy Boys, spot where, one gets down on the floor, the other one jumps off his back. And once the Hurt Business took over, it was what it was at that point. It was Dunsky. So they tried to show off the Top Flight a little bit. They tried to give them a little bit of credibility, but ultimately, they're punks. So after the match, Lashley refused to release the full Nelson from Darius Martin. Then Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara showed up. Interesting pairing here. All Dustin did was say, "Let him go," and Lashley let him go. And that was it. Then they said that you're not tough guys, you're assholes, which was bleeped. MVP said out of respect for his history with Dustin and his love of Dusty, he's not going to beat Dustin and Sammy to death, but they have to figure out what they want. So Dusty and Sammy say, well, you know what we want. You see our championships. You see those championships. You know what we want. And then strange music starts to play. And Leo Rush shows up. Leo Rush starts calling Dustin Gramps, and a whole bunch of old jokes happen. Then Leo said that they've already beaten Top Flight. They beat Top Flight twice. So out of respect for his history with Lashley, Lashley should give him a tag team championship match. And I was like, that's it? I was waiting to see if they were going to do something between Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley. Maybe I expected too much, but I expected it to have a little bit more substance to their interaction because of their history in the past. And maybe for Lashley to tell him, man, that was almost 10 years ago when we were buddies. I haven't seen you in months. I haven't seen you in years or whatever. If that's what's going to be the case, that they would address that as a way of why Lashley wouldn't just do Leo the favor. If they're good buddies and everybody knows they're good buddies, you should just be like, look, I ain't talked to you in over a year, or whatever, just to squash that and make Leo start over, But they chose to go this route. I don't know. So MVP made them wrestle each other and said that they'll wrestle the winners. I don't care about this. They wrestle on Collision. They're wrestling on Collision. Anyway, Dustin's still around and he's still participating. But the question is, how much longer is Sammy going to be around? There's been a lot of hubbub about the AEW contracts that are going to expire, and one of them is Sammy Guevara. And there is some discussion about whether Sammy Guevara is going to stick around. I strongly suggest that Sammy Guevara stays in AEW. Strongly suggest it. I do not want Sammy Guevara in WWE. I don't want him in NXT. I don't want him out. He can go to TNA. I'm willing to ship anybody to TNA. But I have no interest in Sammy Guevara in WWE. He is awful. All right, he's awful. He's dressing better. He's the only person that came out and actually looked like an adult. Unfortunately, he looks like an empty suit. Like there was no substance underneath what he was wearing, but at least he was wearing something nice. I'm wondering why him and Dustin look so different. Like Dustin comes out and, he looks like he's working the indie circuit. And Sammy Guevara looks like he's about to go to either a wedding or, a divorce. He looked nice. And I couldn't deny that, but I already know when it comes to talking, when it comes to wrestling, no thank you on Sammy Guevara. You're not going to trick me. He sucks. He's a pillar of AEW. Let him be a pillar of AEW. Let him be the cracked pillar. Now back to the story. MJF sent us to commercial because they talked so much that time ran out. When we came back, MJF still had not showed up. His music even played, and he was not there. So MVP sent Shelton Benjamin back there to get him. Shelton goes through the curtain, and there's MJF standing behind Tony Khan, which I legitimately laughed. Because he starts, Shelton, buddy, I've been looking all over for you. Like he wasn't in the ring the whole time. It was pretty funny. So Shelton, of course, grabs MJF and escorts him to the ring, where it's time to do the ceremony, and he's going to get what he deserves. So Shelton gives him a thumbs up. MVP gives him a thumbs up. Lashley puts his arm around him, and he's squeezing him kind of tight. Shelton Benjamin is loading up a super kick in the background, and MJF his face is less than enthused. He's all whiny, and Lashley gives him the big thumbs up, and MJF is extremely happy. He's running around in circles talking about we hurt people. He's starting to lead we hurt people chants. It's like, man, he changed everything. Once he becomes a babyface, he just changed everything. Like, why would Lashley want to deal with this? This guy who was clearly scared of them. The guy who has admittedly that he's going to use them to become the world champion. That's what his promo earlier in the night said. That there's a roster is stacked, and I don't want to have to wait in line. I don't want to have to work hard. Like, why would you want to participate and be involved with that? But I'm guessing there's going to be some There's going to be some underneath reason, which, like I said, they're probably going to have to promise them a title match or something. And so now he's in the Hurt Business. He's an official member, but he has to sign a contract next week. MJF then said he's going to have his lawyer look over it, and MVP is like, what do you mean lawyer? And MJF is like, well, this is a business deal, and you wouldn't want to sign any deals without your attorney looking over it. And MVP was like, okay, well, whatever. But we're already showing that there's cracks in the armor with MJF just not trusting MVP off jump. When MVP says something, MJF wants a lawyer to look over it. And, okay. Now, MJF joining the Hurt Business is smart. It was good TV to tease it, but you had to do it once you teased it. I like that they didn't decide to do it forever, but eventually pay it off. Something tells me that there is something in this for Bobby Lashley, especially in exchange for his thumbs up. And to me, that seems like that's going to be part of the Faustian bargain that MJF, signs when he signs this contract, is that he's going to sign something up that he's really, really needs or wants. And I'm looking forward to that. This is the anticipation part of the story. You build some anticipation and then you pay it off. They paid off the anticipation of MJF joining the group, and now they created a new anticipation. What is in it for the Hurt Business? What do they want out of this thing? Because MJF is clearly using them. Why would they just allow themselves to be used? It's obviously that they want something else. I'm not going to lie to you guys on this one. I actually was very entertained by Ricochet versus Zack Gowen. Because in my front part of my mind, I said, why are they doing this? Just like the Gabriel Kid situation. You mean to tell me you don't have enough wrestlers on your roster that you're bringing in guys like this, and this guy is going to get Dynamite time, and you got tons of people on the roster that can't be on TV? I'm talking not just people that I like, but people I don't like. And this guy, Zack Gowen, and whose claim to fame is Brock Lesnar throwing him down some stairs like 20 some odd years ago? I don't get this. But the booking, put that aside. Ricochet made this entertaining. He did a good job here. Zack Gowen played his part, but this was 99% Ricochet. And I'm going to explain to you why I enjoyed this so much. So, Zack Gowen already got his one leg taken. Ricochet's already got it. He's already got the prosthetic leg. And so Zack Gowen's hopping around on one leg, and Ricochet starts to mock him, going back and forth. Doing the Brock Lesnar, going back and forth. Basically just mocking that he has two legs and mocking him, for Brock Lesnar and everything. And so Zack Gowen, because he only has one leg, he gets down in a wrestling stance, and he's going to try to wrestle with Ricochet, using leverage and all that. And Ricochet is running around like he's being chased by like he's being chased by a rat or something like that. He's like, get away from me, and he climbs out of the ring. Like it was fucking funny. It was fucking funny. And then later he tries to put him in a figure four and there's no second leg. Oh shit. Wow. This match went on too long. It was entirely too long. But Ricochet was funny here. He did this one. This one was good. I didn't need for the match to be as long as it was. I think it was probably 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. It could have been shorter if you were going to do something like this. And then after the match, it had Zack Gowen be saved by Mark Briscoe as Ricochet continued to kick his ass. I don't think that doing this to push Mark Briscoe is the best idea. But then again, there's some people who haven't given up on Mark Briscoe. I have. I'm done with it. I already know Mark Briscoe's not going anywhere fast. So I'm done with Mark Briscoe. But they're still doing Mark Briscoe versus Ricochet for reasons unknown. To what end? Don't know. But that's what they're doing. So I'm going to say, gotta admit, Ricochet was funny as hell here. His reactions, his selling. I liked it. I think it was good. I just think it was too long. The first match, though, oh my God. It just seems like all of these matches are the same. Will Ospreay, Hangman Page versus Takeshita and Josh Alexander. You can already guess who takes the pin. It's Josh Alexander. And the finish was a buckshot hidden blade combination move. So they buried the fuck out of him. He had this spot in the match where Will Ospreay and Hangman Page were having their issues back and forth, yelling at each other. And Will Ospreay was about to hit the hidden blade on one of these guys who ducked. And he almost got Hangman Page. And his elbow was like right near Hangman's chin. And Hangman is fuming, staring at Will Ospreay. And it's like, I saw this when Hogan and Warrior did it. And maybe I was 6 or 7 when that happened. I was a lot more entertained, a lot more interested in what the outcome of that would be. I don't give a shit about Will Ospreay or Hangman Page. I don't give a damn about either one of them. They can shit, fuck, or catch fire as far as I'm concerned. But of course they won the match because heels winning. And plus, this match didn't even happen anyway. Josh Alexander just won a championship. And who's Scott D'Amore? His Maple Leaf Pro. He's now the Canadian men's champion. And a lot of people I don't want to get too far on a rant about Maple Leaf Pro. But Scott D'Amore is basically just saying, oh, you guys liked when I ran TNA. So I'm just going to give you TNA all over again. Which is a bunch of Indians with no personality. Giselle Shaw and Josh Alexander. So there's that. No, that don't work for me, brother. That do not work for me, brother. Okay? And it includes the NWA World title as well. I think they had Stu Grayson, one of the Dark Order guys, challenging for it. Like, get fucked. Okay? What a stupid event this was. But anyway, Josh Alexander just won a title there, and he's doing jobs in AEW. So that shows you those belts don't mean a damn thing. Partnership doesn't mean anything unless you protect your partner's, assets. If you're just going to treat Josh Alexander like a jabroni who gets beat every week, how are you really a good partner for MLP? MLP sucks anyway, if we're being honest. If we're just being fair, it's the worst parts of TNA because of Scott D'Amore, so he just pushes all of his favorites. Oh, I was a big fan of Josh Alexander, push him. Oh yeah, I am doing carnal things with Giselle Shaw, so push him too. We're going to move on though. So that's the end of the show, essentially. So Will Ospreay was on the internet talking about how they do everything better than WWE. This, of course, got everybody buzzing. The WWE fans buzzing. Like, man, it's not worth it. It's not worth the conversation, really. I don't care. Even the people who say he's supposed to feel that way, I still don't care. Will Ospreay is going to say stuff like this. Omega's going to say stuff like this. This is what they do. They're hanging their hats on being the best in the ring. That's what AEW is all about, according to them. So, of course, they're going to keep playing that role. We're smoking them, bruv. We're having much better matches than them, bruv. Our matches are sick, bruv. Our matches are phenomenal, bruv. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay. All right. AEW has a a big problem with a lot of things on their shows not really being over. A lot of people on their shows not being over. Some of the main guys are over. Hangman, Omega, Page. I already said Page. Will Ospreay. But then you got 20 minutes of guys like Josh Alexander, who the fans don't really know. And he's just out there waffling. He's trying to work and trying to get his shit together, but the fans don't really care. The fans do care about MJF. They care about the Hurt Business, but they don't really care about all these girls. Like, they like Tony, but these other girls, hit and miss. There was a decent pop for Sky Blue because she's from Chicago and they were in that area. But Azumi and Mina, shrug. The best reaction they probably got the whole night was when they decided to colonize the Hurt Business. And there's a lot of discussion about that. And I'm okay with it. I want to see where it goes mostly. I'm not one of these people that think the group needs to be all black. But, I did see people talk about it, like Owen Hart in the Nation of Domination. Like, what's the gimmick here? But they've already told you what the angle is. MJF is trying to join the black guys and use them to his own benefit. There could be some meta commentary here about, Jewish intelligence and black labor. We could have those conversations, but I'd rather not. This is a wrestling channel. And sometimes I dabble into that stuff, but I'm not going to use that here because I want to see how this goes. So MJF colonizing the Hurt Business, it may work out, but it had a pretty good reaction. It was one of the good feel-good things of the night. But most of the show is just long matches. Like, that 4-way match was very long. That tag team match was super long. And when it's filled with people that nobody cares about, it's hard to get through it. It really is. It's hard to even be enthusiastic to talk about it because it's so bad. And I've tried to not sit and watch every second of the show, and I still barely get through it. Still. That's why I understand some people that don't even watch it anymore. And there's nothing on this show that if you didn't watch it, that you feel like you missed something. Even Tony getting pinned by Mina Shirakawa, it wasn't really dramatic at all. I think she countered the small package into a small package and pinned her. I mean, it is what it is, man. But MJF and the Hurt Business was fun. The Ricochet match with Zack Gowen was fun. It was just too long. I didn't hate the Hurt Business versus Top Flight. I didn't hate that. But everything else on the show, I wasn't all that interested in. Fucking Gabe Kid, man. Gabe Kid and Zack Gowen were featured. And you got Adam Cole. He's been shipped over to Collision. He's not worthy of being on TV. But, hey, at least you guys got your Zack Gowen fix. Fuck. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
Skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these sleazy guys